the New York Knicks. I'm back in the New York groove. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks is taking no shorts, just like winter. New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, it is the New York Knicks podcast, episode 595, part of Dash Radio. Mark, we have a big winning streak this week. I think it's been 10 years since we've been able to say this. Have we had a 7-game winning streak, like, since we started the show?
I don't know. I've kind of lost track of time. I feel like the winning streak has been going on for 10 years. I don't remember 2 weeks ago when I went to the Knicks game and they got blown up by Dallas. But that happened, and since then, the Knicks are goddamn awesome.
They haven't lost in the last 2 episodes we've done.
That is...
And when you're doing weekly episodes, that's something.
Yeah, I don't know if we've ever had them go undefeated for 2 straight episodes. Wow, that is crazy. You know what? Well, when Derrick Rose came here 2 years ago, the Knicks won on quite a run also, but I don't think it was quite as... I don't know if did they have a 7-game win streak during that? They might have.
Anyway, it's one of the longer ones in recent memory, and it's been a lot of fun. The Knicks are playing 9 guys that are all under 30, all 28 or under. A lot of the guys look like they've fit in really well with this roster. Randall is playing both ends of the court. He seems like he's hustling a lot on defense. RJ snapped out of whatever the hell was going on with him.
I mean, but I saw this quote. I saw this from John Macri reported this. I saw his tweet. Over the last 13 games, when the Knicks switched to this starting 5, they are second in the NBA in net rating, trailing only the first-place Grizzlies.
That's pretty nuts.
That is pretty goddamn nuts. Oh, my God. And everything. Look at how 2 weeks ago, or before this, 2 weeks ago, it was like, will Tibbs survive till January? Is Tibbs about to be fired? 2 weeks later, maybe Tibbs will win Coach of the Year.
Anthony says, is this another prank from God, or is he finally smiling upon us?
I mean, it's crazy. I know the team isn't quite as, I don't have any belief the Knicks are going to need to do anything in the playoffs, but I now think they'll make the playoffs, at least in the play-in. 2 weeks, and it's also crazy. 2 weeks ago, the entire fan base, or a lot of the 2 weeks ago, it was like a lot of fan base was like, we have to trade Julius Randle. It's like, we have to, and some people were like, hey, Randle's putting up good numbers. And the other part of the fan base was like, shut up. He's terrible. He's got to go. 2 weeks later, we're like, could he be the only player in NBA history to win Most Improved Player twice?
So I did a little checking. 2 years ago, they won 9 in a row. 3 of those were in overtime.
Oh, okay. I knew they had some big streak with Derrick Rose there.
Yeah.
It's also like 2 weeks ago, RJ Barrett, is he a bust? Now we're like, he's like, if he's your number 3, he's like a pretty solid number 3. He's playing. Clearly, he's over his sickness.
Yeah.
Everything's coming up Knicks.
So do you think the Knicks can hit or break a 9-game winning streak?
They got a tough one ahead of them. So they're playing the Golden State Warriors coming up.
Without Curry.
Without Steph Curry, that is what I call a winnable game.
Mm-hmm.
And they play the Raptors. The Raptors, so-so this season. That's now a winnable game. Then they play Chicago. That's clearly a winnable game. By the way,
that'll be 10 in a row.
Since last show, they beat Chicago twice, once in overtime and once by about 400 points. And then they beat Indiana in a game when I was pretty sure the streak was over. I was pretty sure at some point, late in the game, I was like, well, the Knicks played well. Glad they played well. Oh well, it was nice. 6 in a row was a nice win streak, and then they end up winning the game, and I was like, this is a different Knicks team.
How about Randall hitting 6 clutch free throws in the final minute?
Holy crap. That was awesome. Brunson, he came up huge as he always does. Mitch playing outstanding defense.
Yeah,
Had
Mitch
like
is,
4 block shots. He was great in that game.
Mitch has been he's not gotten in foul trouble a lot, and even when he is out of the game, that super big lineup with Sims and Hart looks pretty nice. I wasn't sure that was going to work out, but it seems to be working.
Hey, if Tyrese Halliburton, your boy, your man crush, or you guy you hope the Knicks would have drafted, if he's going to have the last shot of the game, who do you want guarding him? Who's going to shut him down, Jay? Is it going to be Julius Randle? Because apparently it was.
Apparently it was. I mean, I would have thought I would rather Grimes, but Randall has been so focused on defense during this streak. He's diving for loose balls. He's seems like really into it. He's trying to get steals. Like
because it's they always say certain things are infectious, and it's infectious when other guys are all like trying really hard in defense. It makes him try really hard also. I am sure Tim said to the team, like, we're going through this 9-man rotation where a defense first team, guys will score, but defense is going to be our calling card, and everyone's kind of bought into it. Fred Katz from The Athletic, there's a quote from Randall. I've always felt that switching was our best way for me defensively with our team. There are different things I have to do, and I can adjust, but me using my God-given athletic ability, my feet, my quickness, my strength, all those different things, I feel like it's best for more times than not to switch on guards and keep the ball in front of me. But whatever a coach asks, I'll do it. But the Knicks have been doing a lot more switching as of late, and clearly, like, that's working for Randall.
Yeah, well, we were saying, I think last episode, that Randall seems good on ball defense, but he kind of gets lost when he's trying to play team defense, and switching and keeping him on the ball is playing to his strengths, and it makes total sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, like, no one. I don't think anyone ever said he's a bad on ball, like a bad one-on-one defender. It's just that, like, he's not good. We were talking about a couple shows ago when the Knicks were playing bad about how poor the team communication was.
Yeah,
guys weren't calling out switches. Here, it seems like now maybe it's a game plan. We just switch. We automatically switch. Everyone just switches. And everyone knows that, so Randall's not confused of his assignment anymore.
Well, if you think about it, we had a similar issue with Melo, who was a good on-ball defender and not a good team defender, and his best years were with Woodson when they switched everything.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. It's also good to have you have an elite center. They had Tyson Chandler with Melo. You have Mitch Robinson here. You have guys that can really cover for you. It's also helpful not to have guys. I mean, one of the things also is helpful for Randall and for everyone is not to have the guards just running amok, basically, no one able to stop the guards. And now you have Grimes out there. He can actually stop guys.
Well, yeah, that's the key to this whole thing, because when you had two, like, yeah, I feel bad for Fournier, but he wasn't doing his job on defense, and when you have the guards coming in full speed, that's how Mitch was getting in foul trouble more often. It's just a whole trickle down thing.
There was a play yesterday in the game where RJ was guarding. I forget who was guarding, but the guy just blew past him, and it was ridiculous. Because then afterwards, RJ basically kind of like yelled at Mitch, or like Mitch should have like picked the guy up when RJ basically went left, and the guy went right around him, and and I was like, what a terrible play by RJ. I'm not seeing. And what stood out to me was that it was a terrible play, but I'm not seeing a lot of those terrible plays from RJ anymore. It seems like more times than not, he's doing the right thing now. So it stands out more when he does, but he completely does the wrong thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And he seems invested in it too. Because I saw one other play, not that there was a lot, but I saw one other play where his man beat him, and he shook his fist like he was mad. Like, earlier in the season, it seemed like it was kind of like whatever. But now it seems like when a guy misses a defensive assignment, they're actually like pissed off about it.
Yeah, and there aren't just too many plays where it seems like they would set a pick, and then both Knicks would go to the same player.
Yeah.
It seems like the communication, if we know we're switching, we just switch, and we know what we don't have to like. We don't even say what we're going to do. We know what we're going to do because we've already agreed on the system of switching.
Yeah, yeah.
And the Knicks kind of, if you look at the line, I mean, Grimes is very switchable. He can switch on to anyone. Mitch doesn't do, and even Hart doesn't do so bad when they switch on the guards. It's not that bad. Randall can kind of switch on the guys also. Brunson, if you switch on someone bigger, it's a little more of a challenge. but he is kind of tough even for a smaller guy. So even when he has a bigger guy on him, I don't hate his chances.
He's strong. He doesn't get bullied down low.
Yeah, and he's crafty.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like lately, at least once a game, there's a cross court pass where Brunson just intercepts it.
Yeah, there was a lot of those the other day.
Yeah. And by the way, it's also, you can see this team. One thing they're clearly missing is they still are a horrendous 3-point shooting team. They're getting good at guarding the three, but they can't shoot the three for three. But you see, if this 3-point shot goes down, like they did it at game 2 against Chicago, Knicks were hitting threes, and they were goddamn unstoppable.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's some guys that you're like, they're probably just going to stink at threes. But I really think Grimes is coming out of a slump and is going to be a good 3-point shooter. I don't feel that way about RJ, but RJ's been driving a hell of a lot more lately, and it's been super effective when he does that.
So we were talking about, we were going to go through every player, what they've been doing well, and what we want to see from them going forward, maybe how to improve. And before we do that, I just had a question I saw this on Reddit, and I want to see what your take on this was. And I'm sorry if Obi's injured. I don't need to have in some ways I shouldn't have a negative Obi post, but I just want to ask you this question. The question is Obi expendable? And with him injured and Sims stepping in and taking all of Obi's minutes, it doesn't feel like Obi's absence is felt. Yes, Obi can stretch the floor better than Sims, which I thought would be an issue playing two bigs who don't stretch the floor, but it hasn't. Also, Sims defends the perimeter better as well. Do you think it would be smart to attach Obi with Evan to move off his contract, or do something similar where we traded Knox and a protected first round for someone still on a rookie deal? So the first part of the question really for you is, does the team look that much worse without Obi, with Sims basically taking Obi's minutes?
No. Sims doesn't have a lot to offer offensively, but he's very versatile. He's for a huge guy, he's pretty quick on defense, and I think his defense has been more important than Obi's offense.
Yeah, I mean, they basically have been making RJ the centerpiece on the second unit, and it's working. The second unit is lacking in offense.
They are,
but it still needs help. And guys like IQ, McBride need to step up. But it's not like we're really. I feel like Obi doesn't. RJ in the second unit, basically he's trying to dominate the offense, and it's fine.
Yeah.
You would wish Obi would try to do that in the second unit, and he's still very passive, which becomes very frustrating. Also, Obi's not a very good rebounder. When you have Simmons and Hart out there, the one thing we don't get beaten is on the rebounding. Like, the other team gets one shot, and that's it. We get the rebound, and we push down the floor.
Yeah, yeah.
And Simmons' defense is like a million times better than Obi's defense.
Yeah, I think staggering either Randall or RJ with the bench unit has been very effective, and it makes up for any offense you lose without Obi.
I really like seeing RJ with the bench unit. It's a fun thing to watch, yeah.
Andrew just pointed out Brunson and Grimes are both averaging 37.3% from three this year. You remember a couple of weeks ago, Grimes was averaging, I think, 19%. So
Brunson was also averaging 30% like a couple of weeks ago. Brunson's been hitting a ton of threes lately.
Yeah. So they both are really, really stepping it up. I mean, now they're above average. Remember a couple weeks ago, the Knicks had 0 players above average from three?
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. The Knicks 3-point shooting has been getting better, but still been – one thing that's also been interesting throughout this winning streak, there's some nights where they're hitting the threes, but more nights than not, they've not been hitting their threes, and they're still winning the games.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's defense. Our biggest gripe the first 15 games of the season was that they had like one defender on the court the whole time. It was
now everyone's playing defense. Everyone's making a big effort on defense. It's great.
Yeah.
So here's the second part of the question. So let's just say you agree with this, or maybe we should move off of Obi. I attaching him to Evan seems insane. But what do you think you could get for Obi now?
I don't think you could get a lot.
Really?
Yeah, I really think you get maybe a late first round pick.
Okay, I was thinking like you can get a first round pick for him, which I think is fine.
But
actually.
it's either going to be to a good team that they know it's going to be a late rounder or it's going to be a heavily protected first?
I think he's got more value than a Knox. I think there is potential there. I think you can get something for him more. Like I think either that or maybe someone else in a similar position that like has some unlocked talent at a different position.
Andrew said 15 second rounders for the war chest. The war chest is full, Andrew.
Okay, let's go through the team and tell me what you think they're doing well lately during this winning streak and what can they do better.
Okay.
Let's start with the greatest point guard in the history of all time, Jalen Brunson. Or Brun him. He is him. He's awesome. What's Brunson been doing well, Jay?
Pretty much everything. He's been I don't think he's been a liability on defense, which was what everybody's worry was. He's not great, but I think he's doing all right. You know,
he's better than advertised on defense.
Yeah. He's like average, which is, that's fine. That's all you need from him.
You always know he cares about defense. He clearly cares about defense. He's always trying to be in the right position. He tries to play the passing lanes. I like his. He's not McBride out there. He's not as good as McBride on defense, but he's not bad on defense.
Other things I like, he seems to be good at being able to tell when it's time to take over and when it's time to distribute, set up plays and things. Because it seems that sometimes he's like, all right, these guys are on a cold streak. They're not hitting their shots. I'm just going to take every three for a few minutes. And, maybe I'll start passing again when these guys like calm down.
Right. He knows like sometimes I just need to get mine, not to get mine. Sometimes someone needs to score, and I'm just going to be the guy that has to score. Yeah.
The other day, RJ missed 3 or 4 shots in a row. He's like, all right, I'm going to shoot for a while. And then later on, RJ started warming up again, and, he fed him a lot.
I mean, it is interesting also, you look at last year's team, you're like, we have Randall and RJ who, forgetting the efficiency level, they could each put up 20 a night. Mm-hmm. What could we add to this? Okay, we added a point guard who's generally fairly efficient who will also put up 20 a night.
Right.
It's interesting. We have 3 guys who can put up 20 on most nights.
Yeah, I think Chicago game, Randall had 19 and Brunson and RJ both had over 20.
And Grimes had over 20 also, which is pretty cool.
Right. Yeah, the Knicks almost had 4 20-point scores that game. That was nice.
Yeah, it was interesting. One thing I have to say is, well, I'll get this on the negative side. I'll wait for the negative side. But Brunson, his 3-point shooting also has been so much better lately. I'm like, oh shit, this guy can shoot some threes.
Yeah.
I like.
It's weird how the whole team was like collectively cold all at once, but I think a lot of these guys are getting closer to what their average is. I don't expect Grimes to be shooting like 50% going forward, but I think they could even out around 38%. Yeah.
It's always like you guys know the whole idea of reverting to the mean. Sometimes you're really bad, but you get back to your closer to your career averages.
Yeah.
But so Brunson's been really good on offense. I also like. There's always a few plays in a game where like he just sets someone up so perfectly, where you're like, those are the easy baskets we were missing without having a point guard.
Yes. Even if it's a 2-3 plays a game, that 6-point swing makes a huge difference.
So the one thing I don't kill him or anything. I mean, like he's great. But the one thing this offense does a little bit too much is, okay, it's your turn to ISO. It's your turn to ISO. It's your turn to ISO. Mm-hmm. And I want to see more pick and roll. I want to see Brunson he gets like 6 assists a game. I'd like to see that to go to 8 or 9 assists a game. Part of it, guys, Knicks may miss shots also, but I feel like he could do a little more creation. Part of it's really like, is Tibbs basically telling guys that need to cut more? Like, there's not enough guys cutting to the basket because Jalen Brunson could set guys up if the guys were cutting more.
Yeah.
But you need like one guy's going ISO going to the basket. Another guy should be cutting right behind him more often.
Just show them clips of like the Warriors
or the Nuggets with Jokic hitting guys. Yeah. But there needs to be a little more cutting, a little more. But anyway, he's awesome. He's our. So I saw somewhere on social media, someone was like they said like, should Brunson be the team captain? And I'm like, it's kind of fast for a guy to be team captain who hasn't been here for half a season. But yeah, make him team captain.
Yeah.
Okay, Julius Randle. What's he been doing well?
I mean, his offense has been ridiculous for weeks now.
Oh, by the way, anything else you want to say about Brunson for what he could do better? I think the biggest thing was a little more playmaking.
Yeah,
for me.
no, we gotta keep moving.
Okay.
So, RJ and Randall, players of the week in the East.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Takes me back to the days of Knox's Rookie of the Month.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's crazy.
Randall
okay.
has he's been really hustling on defense during this streak. I know it's a small sample size, but if he could keep this up, it changes the whole dynamic of the team.
He's been really good at shutting up all the fucking annoying people on Twitter. By the way, at this point, if you're still advocating for the Knicks to trade him, you got to shut the hell up. You're just something's wrong with you. You're not a good Knicks fan.
Yeah,
I understand the idea. You want it like he was bad. You want to trade him now. Now he's playing well. Like trade him when it's. What are you gonna do? Like, are you really advocating trading him so we can just tank while we're on a 7-game winning streak?
Yeah, that's the thing I don't get. Like trading your best player during a 7-game win streak seems a little odd. They're in the thick of the playoff mix now. They're the 6th seed. They're not even in the play-in right now.
I've been thinking like so. Obviously, it'd be great to get a star, I guess, whatever. But what if the strategy just is, hey, what if we have 9 guys who are really good? Let's just that be our strategy. We have our starting lineups working really well. Maybe we play some of our bench players. Or they either get better or we replace them with even better players. If you had 9 guys who could all shoot the ball and create their own shot or like just do something, if you have 9 above average players on your team who could all play defense, that team can do something in the playoffs.
Honestly, if Randall's going to try this hard on defense, he's a keeper.
Yeah.
Our biggest gripe was that he was dogging it on defense and it was messing up the team. But if he's going to play like this, there is no point in trading him.
I mean, if IQ and McBride started really developing on offense, who's beating this team? I mean, I know obviously they're not like
they're
they're
no Boston and Milwaukee, but
yeah, but they're not that far away if everyone's playing really well.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not to go crazy.
Yeah.
Obviously, the team's not that far. I'm just saying, like, if you have a team like the Detroit Piston theory of just having, like, you can't that team with Chauncey Billups that was awesome that beat the Lakers. They were all good defenders, and they were all like above average players. I don't know if I guess Rasheed Wallace. I don't know if he had a superstar in that team. Can Randall be our Rasheed Wallace? And can you just have if you have a bunch of players all play really good defense and all shoot? I mean, also McBride and IQ have a ways to go in that area. But I don't know. You can. I feel like maybe you just take this. If this team can play well the rest of the season, can you just build this team by like just drafting players and continue to develop? The average age of these guys is like 24.
how are they going to get minutes? How are you going to draft somebody?
Yeah, I know. It's impossible. I'm just saying, like, we could keep just developing players and see how it goes. If you're building a good core and the team keeps, like, fighting really... I just think, like, we're playing good defense, everything's going well, we're building something here, and then trade everyone for a draft pick. I mean, trade everyone for a star player. I mean, I guess if the right guy comes available, whatever, but... I'm just wondering if you can maybe they're on something now where like we'll see how it goes the rest of the season. Maybe you could just keep drafting and developing and
I would say if the right player becomes available, you make a move, but I don't think they should be actively trying to like blow this up right now.
Okay, so what's your Randall? We'll go a little faster on this. What can Randall do better?
Less ISO.
A little less ISO. There's been a little ISO heavy. There's a little bit something spin moves in the traffic. Getting rid of the ball a little faster when he's double teamed.
Yeah.
And maybe sometimes not going as crazy on the threes, though he's been hitting threes on RJ.
RJ, good. His drives to the basket.
So much better as of late.
He's been scoring like very, very consistently. If he doesn't hit the shot, he's getting fouled. Super efficient that way.
There was something about how he came into the season he kind of admitted in an interview that he didn't come into the season in the best of shape.
Mm-hmm.
He's looking a lot better now. Like he's had some great dunks lately.
Yeah. I don't care about the dunks, but the drives are really good. The cons is still the 3-point shooting.
Oh my God, it's awful.
It's really bad. He had one game last week where he hit a bunch, but other than that, it's been like,
But can't you see, like, if Randall plays like this, if RJ can go back to being like 36% from three, and it can be a little more like, and can be better on draw, like playing what he's doing as far as guard driving to the basket. If everyone can play a little bit better, this team is a pretty tough team to beat.
yeah, I would say RJ needs to look for the drive way more often. Only take threes if he's wide open. And
He's
just
sometimes,
that
but
little
the thing
tweak.
is, sometimes he's in the corner. He's got to hit the threes. That's what it comes down
Yeah.
to. He can't. I don't want him shooting 8 threes a game, but he should be able to hit 2 threes a game.
Yeah.
But
And
he's playing a lot better.
He's still
overall.
got to play better on defense, but it's been much improved during this streak. Much
Grimes.
improved. Grimes, I mean, he's hitting his shots now. He's playing really good defense. He's not a big part of the offense, so he's still scoring like 9 points a game, but he doesn't need to.
I really so one hand someone made a point that having a guy, a low usage player who plays really solid defense is helpful in the starting unit with all these guys being high usage players.
Yeah.
I do really like his playmaking. When they get in the ball, he makes some nifty passes to set other guys up.
He does. He
But-
does. I think he's a really good complementary player.
I think maybe they should involve Grimes a little more in the offense. A lot of times it's just the three main guys. I think Grimes' ceiling might be higher than we think.
If Grimes is as good of a shooter as we think he is, they should definitely be a little less ISO heavy and kick it out more to Grimes.
Pick it up, but I also think he can drive to the basket. He can set other guys up. I think we're going to see some growth from Grimes. There was a story I saw, which is a bit of a rumor, unsubstantiated rumor, but basically when they were going to do the Donovan Mitchell trade, and the Utah wanted Grimes, they were close to doing it, and then apparently Jerry West. The rumor was that Jerry West talked to the Knicks front office and just said, "Grimes is the keeper. Don't do that."
Really?
Yeah, I saw it was something I saw on Reddit. Like it was on Reddit. There was a link to it on like Twitter. I never saw it substantiated anywhere else, but there was a rumor basically that Jerry West kind of told the Knicks front office, "You don't want to trade Grimes."
Interesting.
I think there's a lot of talent there. I think this guy. I think he's better than we realize. I think he's going to. I don't think he's just a 3-and-D guy. I think the guy can drive to the basket. I think he has a more dynamic offensive game than we realize.
Well, hope you're right.
Yeah. So anyway, what I want to see him do more, in my mind, and it's part of it. The other three guys on the floor don't involve him quite as much, especially Randall. And but I want to see him get more involved in the offense because I think he's got. I'd like to see some of that potential come out.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously that's up to guys to pass the ball also.
Yeah.
Mitch.
Well, speaking of getting more involved in the offense, I mean,
Yes.
Mitch is
So-
really just, he gets some lobs. He gets no touches other than lobs. Now, I don't know if he has anything in the bag to show other than lobs, but I would like to see something. Some post-up moves, a mid-range maybe, something.
I'd like to see Hart and Mitch have instead of a 3-point shooting contest, a contest for shooting from 5 feet from the basket. If they
Yeah.
both can figure that out, I mean, Hart can kind of figure that out. If they both can figure that out, that'd be really helpful.
Yeah.
Not fouling, though he's not been fouling that much anyway, Mitch.
No, there's been a game here or there, but it's been the exception rather than the rule lately. So that's good. His defense is game-changing when he's out there.
By the way, we didn't mention, by the way, that from last show, before the show, Brunson was injured. His foot had a contusion. He was expected to miss the Chicago game. Instead of missing the Chicago game, he's played like a champ all week.
Yeah, he there was a quote from him that said, "If I can walk, I'm playing." So he's playing hurt. He said he's gutting through it.
If you had to say which Knick could you see the most on the 90s Knicks, I got to say Brunson might be number one.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just that toughness. Like he would have been great in those teams. I mean, there's other guys. I mean, you could argue Randall could have played in those teams to a certain extent. But anyway, so Mitch, my biggest thing for him to work on is don't get injured.
Yeah. Oh my
Everything else sounds good.
Yeah. IQ defense is much improved.
Yes, he's defense. There was a thing basically the other day. He had the highest defensive rating in the NBA. I don't know if it still stands, but like a couple days ago he did.
Yeah. He still can't shoot.
But first of all, also that kind of tells you not to trust those statistics completely. You're like,
Right.
that advanced stat might be questionable if IQ is number 1 in the NBA.
Right. Yeah, he still can't shoot. That's a problem.
It's so weird that the guy was his calling card coming to the NBA was he's a good shooter. It's the only skill he doesn't have.
His rookie year, he shot really good from 3, and it's been his last year. It was below average.
Terrible.
It was like 34%. Bad, not terrible. This year, it's terrible.
He's all his shooting is terrible, and he has some games where you see him like be 3 for 6, and you're like, oh, or 4 for 7. You're like, oh, great. And then he goes 1 for 9 the other night.
He missed his first 10 shots the other night.
Yeah, he's there's some games where he's just been terrible. Like he also messed up. Like a guy will set him up. There's a play where Brunson like set him up near the basket, and then like IQ just didn't know how to take it to the basket, so he just dribbled away from the basket. And Brunson's like, okay, I guess I'm not setting you up.
Right. Yeah, Andrew just said 29.7% from 3 for IQ.
I feel like it's not good. I feel like IQ is a player that you may want to draft the player and see if he can just be better than IQ. Because IQ, I love what he does. I don't want him to not on the team, but I'd like him to fight for his role in the team going forward because his shooting, his shooting is not good. Like you cannot have this inconsistent shooting. It doesn't help the bench unit.
Well, this is why I always say never punt on a draft, because as much as we like IQ, are you really saying this is not an upgradable position?
Yeah, it's also in theory, you should have guys. If you didn't punt on a draft pick each of the last 3 years, you'd have a guy fighting for his spot right now. But you don't. Like the bench is like the team is kind of. I mean, part of the reason we're playing Jericho Sims at power forward is because you stop drafting player. You like every draft you're missing one player from that draft.
Yeah.
There should be more young players in this team. But either way, IQ, everything else. I think the passing has been fine. His defense has been great. His defense has been really good. The dude has to figure out how to drive to the basket better and how to shoot better. He's got to figure out the offensive end of the game.
Yeah, Andrew just posted his 3-point splits.
God.
I don't know how you go from 39% to 34.5% to 30%.
It's not even like he's jacking up stupid shots now. He's just not making shots.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Is it his form looks okay? Is it mental? I don't know.
I don't know. And he also just like sometimes he'll be crafty around the basket, but he's not a guy that drives the basket for contact.
What happened to that floater he was showing his rookie year?
I don't know. Sometimes he does it. Doesn't do it all the time. He's just not. Sometimes he's introduced a pull-up jumper, which he didn't have for. I don't know how he didn't have that for 2 years, but his offensive game needs work. I don't know. He's got to spend this offseason shooting 10,000 shots a day.
Yeah,
he's got to get better at shooting. McBride.
McBride is another one where it seems like his shooting's starting to pick up, which we knew he could shoot from the G League, from his college. Like,
yeah,
the guy can shoot. Maybe it was just jitters. I don't know, but he's coming out of it. His defense is really good.
His defense is awesome. His passing needs to get a little better. And generally, his defense is great. Same issue as IQ. He just hasn't been given as much a chance to really develop his offense. So hopefully, it starts developing more.
Yeah, he's fine. He's fine as a backup point guard. He's all right.
Yeah. Sims. Oh, sorry, Hart. Let's go Hart, then hit Sims. What about Hart, the backup big?
Hart, I've been a little disappointed with. His the first few games, he looked like he was going to be awesome.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't think he's being utilized right though.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he should. His passing should be a greater part of this offense, and it doesn't seem to be like not. I mean, in some ways, I'm like. He should be at the top of the key like Jokic, like picking guys off with like these precision passes. And he's not Jokic, but a pretty good passer, and it needs to be somehow more involved in the offense. His passing.
Yeah, he seems like he would be a good like Chicago Noah type of player.
And he's been also shooting threes with his bench unit, which I don't know how many threes he's going to hit. I'd love to just see him just do more mid-range jumpers.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the Noah role where they give him the ball at the top of the key. He could do something from there. I don't know. I just
that
feel
seems
like that's more of a better role for him than like standing in the corner.
Yeah, I agree. With this bench unit where like there's no IQ, I guess, is the point guard, but like it wouldn't be a bad idea to try running the ball through for Hart and just see how it goes.
Yeah, no, you don't have to do it every time. Just pepper that in there.
Okay, and Sims.
Sims, I've actually been the most impressed with his defense.
Sims' defense, it seems like I didn't realize he was so switchable.
Yeah.
He seems like he can guard most positions.
Yeah. I was really surprised at his lateral quickness.
His rebounding has been awesome as well.
Mm-hmm.
Offense, I wouldn't like have him shoot the ball from 10 feet away. Like
offense, I have the same gripes with him as I do with Mitch, where it seems like it's not much other than lobs.
Though, in fairness, I feel like Mitch, like whereas Mitch has had more opportunities, he doesn't seem to have as many. Like maybe given some more time, maybe we'll see a few more things from Sims on offense. But yeah, he has no post-up game whatsoever.
Right.
Questions?
This might be our most positive episode ever.
I mean, this seems goddamn fun. I don't know what to tell you. Like, yeah, it's hard to. Last week was fun. This week's even more. It seems playing this well. You have to just be super positive. I've noticed like our timeline on Twitter. I feel like it's just not as filled with as much Knicks stuff because everyone's just like happy and like there's no ranting on. There's very little ranting on like on Reddit. Like all the social media stuff is just like someone will say something and people are like, you still want to trade Randall? What the hell's wrong with you? And everyone just kind of agrees.
Right.
Okay. From Facebook, I think. David writes, how much better would this team be if Obi was cloned and played all 5 positions? Ha 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 ha. Just kidding, but I want to hear your reactions to that Twitter stuff. Seriously though, want Obi back? He's my fan favorite. So Obi comes back. Is he back in the rotation?
I think he is. I think he's probably just gonna take Hart's minutes, Hart or Sims. Probably Sims, but I think I'd rather take Hart's minutes. Yeah.
Well, I think Hart or Sims is going back to exclusively the center, and he'll be the 4 on the bench unit.
Yeah.
Obi, do we have? I mean, hopefully his injury does not like impact his ability to jump. Basically, his explosiveness.
AKA the only thing he knows how to do.
The only thing he knows how to do. Do you think? I think he's back in the rotation. I don't think I still. As far as Cam, as I said before, I think that's an off-court issue why he's not in the rotation, not an on-court issue. But what does Obi's future look like with his team?
Bleak.
I think they might want to. I think they should move him. As much as people like him, Randall's playing too well. I think we're gonna have this problem going forward, and maybe it would be helpful to have a bet like. Maybe Randall's backup should be a guy who was better on defense.
Agreed. Because, honest question, do the Knicks look better or worse when Obi comes back? Say Obi takes Hart's spot.
They don't look any worse off for losing Obi. Yes, the second unit doesn't look quite as good at offense, but I don't know if it looked quite as good on offense with Obi out there either. Like his lack of aggressiveness on offense, I think, really hurts him because he's an offensive first player who's kind of passive.
And he doesn't make up for it on the defensive end.
No, he's just not that good on defense. I mean, he's passable on defense. He's better than you expect at times. Still not great on defense. And his offense, like, outside of fast breaks, like he doesn't have a post-up game, which is surprising. He's not good at taking it to the basket. Like, he's great at taking it to the basket if not contested, like on the fast break.
Mm-hmm.
I at least this is my observation. I have no stats to support this, but I think when Obi is contested at the basket, he misses the shot every time. I just like there's so often when he's contested at the basket, he misses the shot. And his 3-point shooting is very good. I like his 3-point shooting, but I don't know how sustainable that is. I know people are saying he hasn't got a really chance and blah, blah, blah. He has a really high ceiling. I think his issue is that Randall's ceiling is higher. So maybe if we can get a first-round pick for him, it'd be worth trading him.
Yeah, by the way, his 3-point shooting is at 35%, which is still below league average. But
I mean, it also was like 50% for a while, so he had a bad run afterward. After being really hot, he cooled off dramatically.
Yeah, so I know there's a lot of people saying we want to see Obi and give more minutes instead of Randall. what, like, Obi's absolute ceiling, would his ceiling even be as good as Randall?
It's hard. I mean, the way Randall's playing right now, no.
So then what's the point?
The only point is you're moving on Randall. You're at this point, when Randall was bad last year, you're moving from Randall, fine. You're trying to look at the long-term future. Right now, if you're trying to move on from Randall, you're just trying to tank. Obi has been I think you want to trade Obi before his value tanks. Or go like maybe he'll go back up, but I feel like he comes back before the deadline. You might want to just try to move him and try to see what you can get for it. It's hard to say if Randall keeps playing like he does till the trade deadline. I think you got to bet on Randall as opposed to Obi.
I think it would be smart to get another legit 3-and-D guy. When I say 3-and-D, I mean a guy who could actually shoot threes.
I don't know if you're going to get that for Obi, but I think if you can get a first-round pick, that's like a no-brainer to me at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Just get another first-round pick and see if you can draft someone better. We have a bunch of draft picks.
Right.
The more picks, the better.
And I want to like Obi. I really do, but it just doesn't seem like it's working out. It's not a good fit with the roster. Surprise, surprise. Who would have seen that coming? And yeah, I just this. You're right. If Randall's playing like this is going to be a problem for his whole career because he's not going to play over Randall.
If Randall was not on the team, maybe Obi puts up pretty good points because he's the focal point of the offense. Maybe it works out in a better system.
Mm-hmm.
But we have Randall. He signed for a number more years. It seems like the Knicks don't necessarily. They don't want to trade. They can't seem to trade him when he's bad, and it doesn't seem to make sense to trade him when he's playing well. I don't know. And
the Knicks aren't trading Randall. They're not.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, I think there was an issue off the court last year with Randall that was. I had the theory basically that, and I saw someone actually mention this on social media today that that because he had a kid last year, the baby, and he's a very hands-on father, he was sleeping less, and I think that led to like problems on the court, and maybe he had issues with the kid. Who knows? I'm just saying, like, it seemed like something was going on off the court that was really affecting him.
Yeah,
and he seems not to have those issues this year.
Yeah, agreed.
And he even made some comment about sleeping more. And that's why I think the person mentioned the comment on social media. But like, he seems, I don't know. Anyway, David.
Well,
writes,
let's just hope he doesn't decide to have another kid.
David writes 4-0 to Xmas to Christmas, possibly. On Twitter, Knicks 100 GM writes, I need you all to ask the real question. What does Quickly really do for us? Forget the I love to be coached nonsense. Why was he getting blown out while guards was out there styling on us before Grimes started playing?
Well, we kind of touched on that before.
Yeah,
I feel like if there's an upgradable position, that is probably it. I
mean, him and McBride, the whole bench unit right now is upgradable.
Yeah.
But I also would give that unit, like, all those players might just get better also. But and obviously also having Simpson Hart out there, it seems to work for us. And I kind of like seeing it for a stretch. But you obviously need to have an actual power forward out there. You need the bench unit needs more scoring.
They do.
You can't just be RJ be the only competent scorer on the bench unit.
I mean, this would be the argument for Cam, but something's going on there.
Something's going on. And also, by the way, you wanted to make the point, Jay, about Evan Fournier's contract.
Yeah, so I see a lot of people saying we need to trade Fournier. We could even attach McBride or like another asset to get rid of Fournier. The Knicks
the McBride thing is insane to attach him to move a guy in your rotation to move a guy that's not in your rotation. But go on.
Yeah, the Knicks are so far over the cap. Moving Fournier means you're still over the cap. So you clear up no cap space. You're less over the cap, but you're still over the cap.
The Knicks are something like $38 million over the cap for next season. I think if they move, or maybe 35, I've got the exact number, but if they move Rose and Fournier, they're just under the cap for next season. But it's like, it's not on the cap by much. It doesn't do a whole lot for you, but I think you get to use the mid-level exception and the biannual exception if you do
but those
that.
are like what, 6 and 8 million or something, 4 and 8 million. It's not much. Plus, you can let Rose just expire, but if you make a trade for Fournier, you're most likely getting salary back because I don't think NBA players play for free. So even though you're clearing up that 32 million or 35 million, you're getting something back. So you're still not going to be under the cap.
Well, you need to get expiring contracts back, basically. Yeah, so Rose's contract is up this season. So Rose has said he wants to stay on the team, and supposedly he's got a pretty good relationship with Brunson, and he's also like the guards say that I think McBride said he's like a good tutor for him or like a good like mentor.
So maybe he'll play the Udonis Haslam role where he gets the vet minimum and he plays like once a month and everyone's happy.
How crazy was in the Chicago game when the Chicago game blown up by 30 and it's in Chicago's arena and suddenly the crowd goes crazy screaming and you're like, what are they cheering about? They're down by 30 and you realize it because Rose is coming into the game.
Yeah. It was nice that he hit his first three too.
That was really nice. But yes, the reason to move Rose is because he's a vet. He may want to play. The nice thing to do would basically say if he wants to trade, he wants to move, if you can get back an expiring contract and dump him to another team and let him play.
But if he's fine with this situation, he wants to mentor the young guys, fine. Fine. Let him sit on the bench for a vet minimum. That's more than happy with that.
The same with Fournier. You could be do the nice thing, I guess, in the sense of the guy wants to play, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
You can move him for that reason, but really, I wouldn't attach an asset to move him. I would only trade him if I'm going to get an asset back. Because you also, next year, Fournier is an expiring $20 million deal contract. That has a lot of value.
And we said, moving him is not going to get you under the cap. And even if it gets you under by a little bit, it's going to be like $1 million, which isn't going to get you anybody.
Once you move Fournier, that cap space is gone because that's money over the cap.
Yeah.
If anything, you can basically stay above the cap if you trade him for either a longer deal or you trade him as part of. If you want to do a star trade, you need money to trade. So having him on the team, having his contract, is helpful just for a star trade because you need that extra guy. That you need that cap, the money to put in the cap. You got to match salaries.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So
you don't have that many. You don't have too many big contracts on this team. I mean, you have a couple guys you don't necessarily want to trade, or maybe who knows. But I don't think there's a value in trading Fournier unless give me 2 second-round picks. Maybe I trade him, but I want to get something back from him. He's not a negative asset at this point because he's not playing.
I mean, I think a guy who's not playing that makes that much is a negative asset, but it's not to the point where you're like, oh, we have to do this. I would trade him just for him. But it's not. Well, it's not affecting the team. It's not.
Yes, yeah. You're right. It's not affecting. My point I was making is right now you're kind of stuck at the salary cap unless you can go over for certain players. Yeah. Right now the Knicks are that $20 million is over the cap space money. If you could take back another guy who could be helpful on the team for $20 million, it's just money over the. It's like basically a trick with the cap space, basically with the salary cap. If you're over the cap, you can kind of stay above the cap basically by keeping the contract.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think and Cam, he should be moved. He's a problem. Get a draft pick for him, get a second-round pick for him, and move on. He's expiring, so he's going to leave here. And clearly that's not a great situation.
Yeah. So, yeah, don't make a move just to make a move. That's the point.
But there's no reason to attach an asset to move any of these players. Al writes on Twitter, who would be a realistic trade target for a legit playoff push? And would you be willing to let go of Obi and IQ to do it? So who would be a legit... I mean, I guess the first question is, are the Knicks good enough to make a trade to make their playoff push stronger?
They could, yeah. I'm trying to think of a player that would be on the market.
Maybe the Jazz are willing to move Jordan Clarkson because the Jazz don't actually want to be winning.
They've definitely come back down to earth lately.
But their record's still not bad. Still above 500, I think.
Yeah, but it's barely. They're 17-15, and they're down by 20 tonight. So, they could easily be out of the playoffs in the next week or two.
If they want to increase the tank, Jordan Clarkson would be an excellent guy to have off the bench for the Knicks.
You got to look at teams that are in possible blow-it-up mode. The Bulls.
Oh, my God, the Bulls. I'm like, the Bulls went all in to build this team, and you're like, a year later, you're like, you guys may want to scrap everyone.
And the Raptors.
If you're the Bulls, Ball's never healthy. You might want to trade DeRozan and what's his name while they still have value.
Levine.
Levine. Like,
Well, you might lose Levine for nothing. DeRozan's getting older. You might want to just, yeah, I would probably blow it up.
what if the Raptors are like, sorry, not the Raptors, the Bulls. What if they say they'll give you DeRozan for what's a fair trade for? Like, they're going to ask a lot for DeRozan, obviously.
Yeah, I don't think the Knicks can get DeRozan.
It's also probably not the best fit.
What about like Anunoby on Toronto?
You think they're going to move him?
I think they might.
I guess, is there anyone? He falls in the category of a guy that I think you're going to have to give 2 firsts for. Do you want to give 2 firsts for any of these guys?
No, not 2 firsts.
I
I think it would probably have to be more peripheral, like.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking like a Clarkson, like maybe one. I don't know if I want to trade a first for. The thing is, I don't know if I want to trade a first to make this team better when I might want to just use those draft picks.
The only first they would trade would be the protected ones.
Yes. The protected ones I have no value. I
Take
value
them
much
all.
less.
Take them all. Who
Yes.
cares?
Yes.
Before everyone finds out they're going to be second rounders.
Yeah, maybe the Clark. Maybe if you can use those to get someone else. What other teams look like they're going to blow it? Chicago look like they should blow it up. Who else are you thinking?
I think Chicago and Toronto are the two that are in like borderline blow it up mode.
Toronto is. I mean, they have Scotty Barnes there. I think that. I mean, they're surprisingly bad this year, basically.
They're 13-17, could be 13-18 after tonight. They're playing the Sixers and they're down in the third. But like everyone, like they're not like injury. They're not injured. They're just bad.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. They're all. Yeah, they're just not that great of a team.
So I would look at them. I mean, they're starting Juancho Hernan-Gomez. Like they, I don't know what's going on over there.
Yeah, they have some issues. By the way, just a side note, the Magic have been playing a lot better lately.
Yeah.
I have a friend who's a big Celtic fan, and the Magic beat the Celtics. So I sent him a text and said, sorry for the loss of the Magic. There's still time to jump on the Knicks bandwagon. And then 2 days later, I sent the same text because the Celtics lost to the Magic again.
The Magic have the second longest. The Knicks have the longest winning streak in the league at 7, and the Magic have 6.
The Magic, there's something. I mean, they are developing an interesting team. By the way, they Bol, who was kind of available the entire league, has been pretty good for them.
He's been really good, and Banchero's been.
Yeah, Banchero was number 1 pick in the draft. You kind of thought he'd be really good, but Bol was kind of like no one seemed to want him, and he's playing pretty well.
Yeah, and they still got guys who have been injured for a while. That like Isaac hasn't played in 2 years. Like, if he ever comes back. I know the Nets are on a 6-game win streak too, Andrew. I just didn't want to mention them.
Oh, goddamn Nets. Yeah, I'm trying to think of who else would be a good trade. Detroit has some extra players. Detroit's terrible.
Washington lost 10 in a row.
Holy they've lost 10 in a row?
Yeah, Kuzma is talking about he wants to get paid. I don't think they want to pay him.
They're 11-20. I remember them. I thought they were around 500 last time I looked.
They were 11-10. Now they're 11-20.
Holy shit! That's a complete disaster. But the thing is, would you give a lot for Kuzma? Is he a good player or just good player on good stats on bad team kind of guy?
I think he really picked it up. I think he's a good player.
Do you want to give him the problem also is so you mentioned OG, you mentioned Kuzma, you mentioned guys who are starters. Do we want to have them come in and be a starter here? Both are also guys to play the power forward position.
Right. Yeah. I'd say get as much talent as you can. What if he ends up being better than RJ and he starts over RJ? Is that the end of the world?
Jay, you had to end the show like that, Jay?
I'm just saying, get as much talent as possible and have it work itself out later.
Fair point. There is a lot. Would you trade for KP?
I mean, Kuzma's only 27.
No, I mean, his shooting numbers are better this year.
He's averaging 20, 28, and 3.5.
On what kind of shooting?
He's shooting 46% from 2, 34 from 3, and 69 from the free throw line.
69% from the free throw line?
Yeah, he's not a good free
We
throw.
already have our bad free throw shooters.
He's
I don't need
a
another.
career 72% shooter, but he's shooting great from 2. 46% is good.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Something to think about. Anyway, nyknickspodcast@gmail.com is our email. nyknickspodcast on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon. The NewYorkKnicksPodcast.com if you want to get one of our last 2 shirts. And we have a Discord. The links are on any of those sites that I just mentioned before. Join the Discord. You can chat with us during games. And
Sadiq Bey was
times.
the guy in Detroit I was thinking of. I don't know how expendable he is, but
look into all options. It's not like this is a perfect
His shooting's
roster
pretty-
that you can't upgrade.
his shooting is not that good this year.
Yeah.
He always plays well against the Knicks, but yeah. Yes, you're right. I'm just wondering. I don't know if I want to trade a big asset at least to move on. Like this, I feel like let's just see where the win streak takes us.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. We will be back next week, hopefully on a 10-game winning streak.
The Knicks are never going to lose a game again.
All right.
There, I said it.
Sounds good to me. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody. It's all over. Goodbye. It's time to go. This is the end. Say goodbye.